Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us for another Community Unity vlog at the Florida Podcast.Studio here in Stuart, Florida. I'm Cherie Ramirez with Children's Services Council of Martin County, and today I have Wendy Reynoso, CEO of Banner Lake, joining me.
Thank you for having us.
Of course. Yeah, so I'm excited to be able to highlight the men and the women who are behind the mission of the organizations of the programs that we fund with Martin County taxpayer dollars. So today, Banner Lake Club, I'm excited to be able to introduce Wendy. If you don't know her, you should know her. She is a force to be reckoned with here in the community. And just going to read your mission statement so I don't mess it up. To improve the quality of life of Hope Sound residents, especially those in the Banner Lake community, requiring financial, social, and educational support. And the CSC funds the BLAST program, which is the Banner Lake After School Time program, correct?
Correct, yes.
All right, so Wendy, what I want to do is I just want to get to know you. I want to get to know the women behind the mission and how you got to be the CEO at Banner Lake.
Well, with all stories, I think it's important to first recognize our ancestors and those that reared us. And so I hail from Maria Carrasco and Salvador Reynoso. That's my mom and my dad. And I wouldn't be the woman that I am today had it not been for their ingenuity of ensuring that their families who made it to the United States from the Dominican Republic were on a successful track. So I want to thank them first. And their hard work, dedication, and perseverance for making me the woman that I am today.
That's awesome. And you're an amazing woman.
Thank you. Thank you, Cherie. I like to always, I know in my heart that none of this would be possible had it not been for all of the supports that I've had along the way. So whether it was a Head Start program that I was part of in Lynn, Massachusetts, or the Upward Bound program, the North Shore Upward Bound program, also in Massachusetts, that made sure that I was on track to not only go to college, but complete college, and then become an AmeriCorps member through the Oberlin College Upward Bound program. It's been sort of a pay it back and move it forward kind of situation for me as I think about the gains that I've been able to make as an adult in my career. I have been at a very early age a director or some kind of supervisor, even at the age of 23 when I probably had no business being one. But I was, from very early on, I had a lot of mentors who saw a lot in me, which I'm very grateful for. And then I was able to see those qualities that they found in me, in myself, and be able to grow and really take the time to hone the skills that I currently have as an executive director, a manager, a supervisor, a sister, an aunt, a friend, in order to be able to fulfill the roles that I've fulfilled over the years, especially the one that I have now, which is the CEO of the Banner Lake Club.
So all those people before who were your mentors obviously saw what I see in you. I've known you just a few short years, but you're an absolute rock star, especially for growing the Banner Lake Club the way that you have in the past few years that I've known you. So I did notice as you were saying your dad's last name, I think I messed it up when I introduced you. So how do you say your last name?
Of course, because I put a little bit of accent in it, but you did not.
Oh,
you did not mispronounce my name. It's Reynoso. So
Reynoso. Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
If you say it in the way that it should be pronounced, right? In Spanish, it's Reynoso.
Reynoso.
Yeah.
So. Okay. Well, I don't know Spanish. I should know Spanish, but I do not. Anyways, okay. So, can you give the viewers a snapshot of the services that the club offers and, where the students go and the age groups that you are able to serve?
So I like to describe that the Banner Lake Club really focuses on, well, cradle to grave or womb to tomb, as I like to say, the whole family system support. And so we start as early as 6 weeks through our early learning program, Banner Lake Early Learning Center, known to many of the viewers as Dunbar. As of August, Dunbar Center and the Banner Lake Club have merged. So we're now one entity serving the entire community of Banner Lake. And so we start as early as 6 weeks and provide services all the way through someone's end of life. And what I mean by that is through our outreach program, we will allow families to utilize the community center to hold their post-funeral services. Oh, wow. And so when you really think about all of what we do, it runs the gamut as early as 6 weeks all the way through a community member's family's end of life. We have the Early Childhood Center, the Banner Lake Academy, and a host of outreach programs that provide the services that any community member may need. We're fortunate enough to know that while we have all of these services and have a wide range of ages that we provide services to, that we have lovely partners in the Hobe Sound and Martin County areas, that we have partners in not only Hobe Sound but also in Martin County that can support the work that we do. Mm-hmm. So we don't do it alone. We collaborate with the Hobe Sound Early Learning Center, with the Boys and Girls Club, with Project Lift, with House of Hope. In particular, House of Hope has been one of our long-standing partners since we first started the Banner Lake Club.
And with them, you were one of the first gardens, correct, to be established?
So we have a community garden that is tended by the teens from the Teens in the Blast program. Why that is instrumental to the community is that it is one of the hallmarks of the Banner Lake community. We have a lot of residents who reminisce about the time when they had community gardens and would tend to community gardens. So watching this garden come alive in the very community, in their community, is really a proud moment for many of the community members.
That's awesome. And so you just mentioned so many different nonprofit organizations, and I think it's so great, again, when we come together in community unity to support one another for one common goal and one mission, and that's our children and our families, and to help them all reach their full potential. So I love seeing community partners within the nonprofit organizations. So you mentioned the Banner Lake community. Do you service families outside of the Banner Lake community as well?
So our mission is the Greater Hobe Sound with a focus in Banner Lake. Okay. So the answer is yes, resoundingly yes. We have children and families who are residents of the mobile home parks. We also have families that live in the Petway Gomez area. So yes, we are a Hobe Sound centric but Banner Lake focused organization.
So you said something about the Blast Academy. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? How long has that been around, and what's your focus? Bringing kids from the Banner Lake primary school now, or what is?
We have the Early Learning Center, which is for 6 weeks old to VPK, okay. So 4 years old, and then when they leave the Banner Lake Early Learning Center, again known to many as Dunbar, mm-hmm. They then go to the Banner Lake Academy, okay. which is a K-3 academy founded 3 years ago, and it is primarily put in place to ensure that the children who matriculate in the Banner Lake community are ready for 4th grade wherever they go. And so what we do is we partner with Hobe Sound Elementary and the Pine School and various other potential schools that these children may go to ensure that they get a proper handoff, because we believe in continuity of care. It is why the Banner Lake community came together with Dunbar in a very formal way to ensure that children as young as 6 weeks old are able to receive a continual education all the way up and until third grade. And then we don't leave them. Mm-hmm. They may go to other schools after the third grade, but then they come to us for BLAST, the after-school program. So we always will have a touch point. If it's not just with them, it's with their family members that we're helping through our outreach program. So we're very much dedicated in making sure that at all points of that child and family's life, we're there for them.
That's such great news, because that continuity of care is needed. And in Martin County, there is a little bit of an issue with the grade level reading, right? So starting young and being able to talk to them and speak with your child and teaching not only the children, but working with the parents is fantastic. And I believe that you offer classes to the parents as well, like on the weekend.
So what we're doing actually, which is quite revolutionary, I think, is there's an organization, or I would say a method, but it is an organization as well, called Conscious Discipline. It is an adult first, child second approach. The idea is that in order to make sure that we have productive people walking around in this world, we have to be regulated. And so when children are 6 weeks old or younger than 4 years old, I would say, they need an adult that's going to help them regulate themselves so that they understand that the big emotions they're feeling are okay. Mm-hmm. And so that's one part of it. However, a child cannot regulate themselves if the adult isn't regulated. So it's why it's an adult first, child second approach, because it is important for the adult to understand what their triggers are, why they are cranky, why they are stressed out, and that it's okay to feel those feelings and to have those feelings. But it's important to understand that it's not who you are, it's how you feel. And so helping your child and children move through the emotions, which are many throughout the day, really helps the child then become productive and ready to learn. You cannot teach a child, we already know this, right, that's hungry or that's not regulated for any other reason, one of which could be because they're hungry, but if they're not happy, you cannot teach them. So the conscious discipline method and the methodology that we've decided to adopt at the Banner Lake Club in all of our programs is a method that we believe really could transform and shift the way in which we interact and behave with one another, not just adults, but also children. And again, as an adult, we have learned how when we're hungry, that we understand we're hangry and we can joke about it, laugh about it, and keep going about our way. But with children, if they don't have the language to articulate that is what's going on with them, then all we see is a temper tantrum or any other sort of thing that we can come up with to say, oh, that child is misbehaving. Mm-hmm. But in fact, all communication is behavior. And so if we understand what it is that the child is communicated through their behavior, then we can begin to get at the root of what it is they need so that we can best educate them.
I remember when I came through and toured one of the first times and met with you when I first started with CSC, you were explaining these little stations within Dunbar, because you're already working with Dunbar, but now it's the Early Learning Center. So, but you were explaining this to me, and I was like, man, that is so brilliant, because it is definitely needed. Because even as adults, and I was having this conversation with Keith last week, regulation is so important, for everybody, because we all have our own emotions and we handle things different ways. And so I think it's great for you to be able to recognize that and work with the children and have that continuity of care with them, but also working with the parents, because that's really where they're at home most of the time.
Sorry, Cherie, because I didn't answer your question directly. So we have parenting classes that are conscious disciplined framed. So we have someone come in once a month, twice a week. So once a month, twice. So in the early morning from 8 to 9:30, so parents can come in and then go to work. And then in the evening for those who are not able to take off the morning, so that we can teach different skills that will help them with their parenting.
And anybody can attend these classes?
Any person from the community. We like to call them, actually I say parents, but I actually like to call them caregivers, because a child may have various different folks tending to their care. So any caregiver can come, anyone from the community can come. What we ask is that they be consistent and come to every workshop, and it's scheduled all the way through May.
So can you share with the viewers where they can find this schedule and how they can register and that sort of thing?
So they can go to the Banner Lake Club, so www.bannerlake.org, and we'll have the information on the website for them.
Awesome. So thank you for that. And I want to get back to the BLAST program and everything, but I just thought that was really important to highlight. And so what is tuition costs typically for your students that go through your program?
So we operate a tuition-free organization. The way that we're able to do that is with our great partners from the Early Learning Coalition and also Head Start. So what we can do is the parents can get either through ELC subsidies, through school readiness, or the VPK program, and then through Head Start, just by being a Head Start family, that we then are able to provide the services free of charge, because we get that kind of support from those partners.
Is that also included with your academy?
Absolutely. With the academy, we partner with the Step Up. So the parents applied it, would receive subsidies through Step Up. And so we are able then to have both the Early Learning Center and the Academy free of charge, but we also, as a result of the Children's Services Council, who's one of our largest donors, able to provide the BLAST program for free as well. So we're fortunate to not have to ask parents who are already very much stretched thin to provide us with any sort of monetary assistance or however, we do ask for participation. So that is why we do require that they do community service hours and or education hours in order to be able to support their child's and their family's education.
That's wonderful. What a great idea. How long has that been in place?
So Banner Lake Club has always been tuition free. And Dunbar, now the Banner Lake Early Learning Center, has always been what we used to say the cheapest game in town for childcare. And so it came to a point where trying to be bill collectors just didn't feel right. It made it hard for families to want to come through the front door. And so we, over the last 2 years, came up with a plan that allowed us to figure out a way in which to have a tuition base and then ask private donors for financial support, so that we can then make the organization a tuition-free organization. And they heard the call and they answered, so we're very much grateful. I also like to say that none of what the organization is able to do, it would be possible if the board of directors weren't side to side and alongside of all of us, those of us that are the staff, to really promote the organization and really share with their friends and families the importance of education, not only just for the children but for the parents. So we're fortunate. We have partners of all kinds, and every single person that shows up really, really well.
So last year I was able to attend the Banner Lake Historical Designation, which now is being utilized as a tween and teen center. Can you tell me a little bit about that center and why it's so special that they have their own space?
Sure. So prior to it becoming a teen center, it was the social gathering place for the residents of the Banner Lake community. It is a location, a building that housed various activities for the adults, and also became, right about 10 years ago when the Banner Lake Club, the Blast program was founded, a place for not just the adults to commune, but also for the Blast program to be. So it's the only building where all the activities were happening prior to the Banner Lake Community Center being built.
And that's a
2019.
great big, that's a big difference in space.
So talking about 1930s, that's when 1930s where we had a clubhouse that had like two sections, so that when you walk in, it was an open space, and then right behind it was another space where typically there would be events happening, social gatherings, as I mentioned. And when the Blast program was created, then you had a beautiful intergenerational community. So you would walk in and you would see on a Friday the what we call now the Banner Lake Cafe, but the soup kitchen happening, and you would see the adults and their grandparents and their parents and the children, and having a meal on a Friday evening. It could switch and become the bingo place. It could switch and become the place where we would actually have a Mother's Day brunch for the mothers in the community. And what we found was that being very important, what was built was a community center where there's a great space where all of these gatherings can occur. We now have it as the teen center. And so as you know, teens do not want to be with the young children. So if you can imagine, you could have someone as young as 6 years old, 5 years old, with a 12 and 13-year-old in that space. Mm-hmm. And they would share with our director, our Blast director, Simone Scott, that tired of being around these young little kids. And so we saw the attendance drop on a daily basis for the after-school program, for specifically in the tweens and teens age group. And so as soon as we erected and were able to, I wouldn't say erected, as soon as we were able to transform, is the better word, the teen center, we now have on average anywhere between 30 to 40 teens and tweens attending the after-school program because they have a place that they can call their own. They have a place to relax, but they also have a place to be able to do their homework. And let's face it, many of these children also have younger siblings. It's like not wanting to have to take care of their younger sibling. And so it's a little bit of an independence. And so it really helps us with that. But I'd love to be able to say that through the ARPA dollars that we did receive, we are building behind the Teen Center a space that's going to also be rededicated to outreach and for the residents of the Hope Sound community. So specifically the Banner Lake residents, and hope that we see folks come back and gather as they used to.
So how long have you been with Banner Lake? I don't think that was covered in
It'll be 5 years in May. It'll be 5 years in May, and I would like to thank Sally Zanino, who, if she had not made that phone call to me while I was sitting in my apartment in New York City, this dream would not have been realized, not just for me, but I think also for the community in terms of the work that's been able to get done in the short amount of time under her leadership and under Missy Crisp's leadership.
It's been amazing to see a transition and to see how much you guys have really grown. And one of the other things that I've noticed is that you guys have a lot of open space. outside for kids to be able to do extracurriculars outside. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
So so the community center abuts the park, and so that ends up being their recess, their physical education space, and any given day, Monday through Friday, you will find that the children are utilizing the space wisely. However, evenings, excuse me. During the evenings, you will find that you'll have the blast program outside from 2 to 6. And then on Saturdays and Sundays, depending on what activities we have going, you will see the entire community come out. And there's grilling going on, so we get hot dogs and hamburgers. And then the children just running around, having fun. Just this past Saturday, we had the Fall Festival, and over 200 community members came from all around Hope Sound, and it was great to see them. It was the Fall Festival. We had a very small trunk or treat, and a lot of activities that the children and their parents and caregivers could participate in. Music. It was a lot of food, a lot of sugar, and a lot of love going around.
So I know you're doing the conscious discipline, but can you tell me about the junior achievement social emotional learning curriculum?
So there's, well, first of all, I like to say that we don't believe one size fits all, and that there are so many wonderful social emotional programs out there that benefit adults and children, and some that are just specific to children. And so we are working through the Children's Services Council, we are working with Junior Achievement to really hone in on the social emotional well-being of the children in the BLAST program, and making sure that we're looking at key markers that can that let us really know that the child is really successfully working through whatever may come to them. So we're really excited about that.
Exactly.
So do you have anything coming up within the next couple months, fundraisers or anything that you need help with, volunteers, that sort of thing?
Start and say that now that things are opened up a little bit with the decline of COVID, we would love to be able to see folks come back and volunteer in the classrooms, particularly at the Banner Early Learning Center. We'd love to see that happening. We next year in March we'll have our annual gala, so our annual benefit. It'll be the second year that we've hosted an event of its kind. But primarily, really, we love for our children to have positive relationships with adults. So if there's only one thing that you heard, and that is please come and volunteer and work with our children, whether it's during at the Early Learning Center or at BLAST during the after-school hours. And for the academy, we'd love to see you come and do a read aloud and read one-on-one to children. So
That'd be great. I would love to come and volunteer and do that myself. So you have a saying that's kind of similar to the community unity, right? Yeah. So can you tell me what that is?
Our theme for this year is in unity, there is strength. We are very dedicated to the Hope Sound residents, and yes, we are particularly fond of the Banner Lake community because that's where we live. But we want folks to know that coming together as one organization was to address our mission, and that is in unity there's strength, and having one organization that addresses womb to tomb services, cradle to grave, whole family support is critical for us. And we know that we can't do this without our partners, and we appreciate, respect, and love each and every one of our partners, and want to continue to do what's best for the community today and forever.
I just thank you so much for coming and joining me today. Was there anything else that I might have missed that you wanted to highlight that you wanted to make sure people were aware of, they can go to your website and donate if they'd like to donate, or they can go on there to be able to check out the classes that are available to them.
Come visit. Come visit. There's a magic. There's a magic that happens when you walk through the doors of any of the buildings that are on Lantana Avenue in Hope Sound. Just please come visit, ask for a tour, and really get to know the organization firsthand. And you'll walk away understanding the beauty of continuity of care.
And the impact that you're making generationally.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much again, Wendy. I appreciate it, and I just look forward to seeing the continued growth over at Banner Lake.